This is going to be a pretty hard-bitten little thing. It's called human remains. And it's and it's what's left of people after they get done with themselves. And what to do about that. Yeah, no. So it starts out with the concept of what is a human being? Or should I say, what was a human being as God created a human being to be? Before man got a hold of it and had a different idea. Right? I think that a man is what people say a man is, which is a unique masterpiece of God. Yeah. I agree with that concept. And God doesn't make junk, they said. And furthermore, God makes awesome beauty. When you look into the windows of the soul and you see that thing and you go, oh my God, that's right. Yeah. There's something about that. That's why people get married. They see that, and that's what they remember forever about you, when they had that moment when that thing happened and they got to see the real deal. And it's like, God not only doesn't make junk, but God makes stuff that would bring you to your knees if you had a chance to see it. Yeah, no. It would take your breath away, and it does. And you go, awesome. Somebody says, you're not going to believe this. You go, what? They go, I actually saw the real so-and-so. You go, you're shitting me, right? This is a joke, right? And they go, no. This is for real. I saw the real so-and-so. What was it like? Awesome. It was awesome. That's the one I knew. That's the one I love. That's the one I knew was in there somewhere. Hasn't been out for a while. I saw it. Well, did you take a picture? No, I forgot to take a picture. It happened so fast. Right? So how do we know that people are so damned awesome? How do we know that God makes awesome? Not junk, but awesome? Testimony. Witnesses. Right? Like Cindy Lauper. Don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful, like a rainbow. Right? You heard that one?
Yeah.
True colors. Right? Or you're in a social occasion and maybe a party and this person's dancing or doing something and you're nodding your head and you're in watching them and you don't even realize you're totally transfixed, but you're watching this person and you're going and stuff like that. And then at one point you realize they're being themselves.
Yes.
You never saw that before, right? Or something like that. And it's like, oh my God, here I am. They're being themselves. What a trip. Maybe they're doing the chicken walk. You don't know what it is, but somehow 1 million ton of lead got off and they're doing something that is beautiful and it's not characteristic and it's out of their particular box that they usually like to stay inside of. And you are spellbound. Again, okay, people are awesome. God made them awesome. Well, and I know why. Because in the beginning there was God, and what could God make people out of? You see? Well, what else was there? Think. You see? That was it. That was the only raw material that could be assembled into a person. What was he going to do? Borrow from the neighbor? There wasn't no neighbor. Okay? He had to use the resources, and she was it.
Yes.
That was the resource. Here, have my heart. You see what I mean? Have a piece of me. You want a piece of me? Here. There. You are a piece of me. Okay? You have divine inheritance, divine genes. Had to. Child of God. Right? That's what that is. So no wonder people are awesome. God's awesome, and they're God's kid. Chip off that old block. So, every person has to be some kind of unique configuration of God. Mix up the colors a little different, right? Splatter it out, right? It's got to be something that was there. And so, God's children, not bad. But then, when you talk about that awesomeness, and you talk about that party at which you saw the person, and then you realize how drab people can be sometimes, even at yourself, right? Compared to yourself, and you know it. Then you realize this is not usually what we see for sure, right? We don't really see the beauty. It doesn't mean the person isn't beautiful, but you might have to dig for it. You don't see it every day. You see, it's not that they're not beautiful, but they're hiding it. They're willing to hide it. They're afraid to let it show true colors. A lot of times, right? So we end up with, cardboard people. Nothing much, a lot of hiding, and not much showing that's worth showing on the surface, right? Social personas, right? Well, if there is a God in there, they must be doing a pretty good job of hiding it. If there is beauty, they must be doing a pretty good job of hiding it in some cases, right? You could ask, right? And the answer is yes. You see, they might be doing a really very good job. It doesn't mean it's not there. It just means that a good job is being done on camo. Okay? That's it. That's expertise. That's talent. That's hiding talent. Right? Because people aren't anywhere near being themselves for the most part. If they are a full deck, they're playing with maybe 5-10 cards. Maybe. The rest of it, hidden. Right? That's a very narrow reduction, a very narrow band. And this is what I mean when I say human remains. What remains of the man I married, the woman I married? That's what I live with, the remains. What remains of the humanity that God created? The remains. Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today, okay? The bereaved. Huh? They are recently departed. Huh? To honor the remains of humanity as God created them. To live with the remains, to be a friend of the remains, to talk to the remains, to try to heal the remains of what God created them to be. Huh? And it's an emotional realization when you realize the incredible greatness of what you're trying to heal, love, or be with, and how it's not showing, and how it's there, and how it just needs to come out, and how you want to love it out, call it out, shout it out for the laundry people. Shout it out. Whatever you do, okay, it's because of the intention of you know better than the fact that the remains is really dead. That the corpse is actually a corpse, right? And you don't necessarily want to settle for the usual conversation. Like, how you doing, right? Staying out of trouble?
Oh, God. Right.
And the guy goes, sure enough. Yep. And you go, well, that's a goddamned encyclopedia about your life. Well, you ask the question. And then you go, well, how's it hanging? And they go, downward. Huh. Are we getting deep and meaningful yet? Do we understand each other deeply yet? Is this it, folks? Is this all that we can really communicate? You know? How you doing? Staying out of trouble. You get it?
Yeah.
Stick figures. Nothing. It's nothing. What does this mean? Staying out of trouble. How's it hanging downward? Oh, God. This is not an adequate description of the masterpiece of God's creation. How you doing? Huh? It's not. Don't you think, or don't you? It's the way we relate is so incredibly obtuse. It's a wall. It's a wall that hides almost all. You see, we live with the remains, right? What we're willing to show is the remains. What we've hidden is, for the most part, the best part. And we're hiding that? Hiding your light under a bushel basket, maybe? The beauty that is you? Let's see. They say, the straight and narrow, but this is the straight jacket and the narrow. Okay? A person lives in a straight jacket because they've decided to live in it. And it's like a narrow, narrow, narrow path. What they can say, what they can't say, what they can be, what they can't be, because a person plays it safe. A person guards their more precious jewels. You're a teenager. You put it all out on the table. You got your heart broke. You decided not to do that again. You pulled in your horns a little bit. You didn't show up. Not as much next time around. You made that resolve for yourself. You followed through. Next thing you know, you're not too much of a person. You're less. You know the wholeness of being a teenager in love for the first time and shit like this, you see what I mean? The wholeness of it, the kamikaze, you see what I mean? Everything there. This was big stuff. This was big, And people decided to what? Squash it, smallen it, you see, reduce it, you see? And this happened when you were 16 and stuff like this. Right at the time when you were busy trying to figure out what to be. And you were looking around for role models and inspirations. Boy George, of course, is out there, 12-inch nails, Heavy D, right? Lots of stellar examples of possible ways of being, Richard Nixon and other inspirational figures. It's like, what should I be? That's what a teenager wants to know. I said, well, hey, fuck that. What did God make you to be? You see? But no, you're a teenager. You've got to decide what to be. Right? So you're looking at your different role models, you're thinking about how to walk, how to talk, you're making up yourself. You're supposed to invent yourself. We've been through this stuff, right? And you're busy inventing, right? Yourself. But you haven't got it invented yet, and that's why 16-year-old love was real. Because you didn't have, at that time, a well-spackled up, well-epoxied persona to present for the wall that's going to be your relationship face. You didn't have that yet. You're working on that. It's a work in progress. What type of asshole you're going to come out to be by your own election. Right? Depending on which assholes you follow and decide are cool. Right? What the haircut, what the walk, what the talk, what the behavior pattern, which gang you're in. You know what I mean? You're working on it. It's too soon to be a total jerk, a total facade. If the person had caught you in 2 years, why, maybe you would have been able to show them a real jerk. but it wasn't time. It was still in the oven. The fake persona that you're working on, still in the oven. Not well formed. Nothing you could present. You know. They say about martial arts, right, that when you jumped in the alley, if you haven't got your martial art trip completely under your belt yet, by the time they jump you, because you're only a green belt or a mauve belt or some shit like this, okay, or a gray belt, you know, or just a belt. If you don't have it together enough, you'll fight in your old way. You'll bite and shit because you don't have quite the thing yet. You have to internalize the drill before you can use the drill. Right? And here we are, we're teenagers trying to figure out how to be, but we've fallen in love, and we're being genuine because we haven't perfected the fake.
Right.
We haven't perfected it. We're working on it. We're not there. Come back in 2 years and I'll show you the kind of person I'm working on being. Oh, give me a break. You're so much better now. Now you got a heart and everything else. Now you're totally in love. You're writing names in a book by the thousands. My name. Okay? You're doing shit that's completely whack. You are in love. This is awesome stuff. This is not to be sneezed at, you know? Am I wrong?
No, you are right.
I think this was closer to the truth. Closer to the heart
Yes.
in them days of your own becomingness. Okay? And it could be like that again, you see? Take it all off. Whatever got put on. That's the message. But we'll get to the message.
You haven't lost me yet.
Huh?
So you haven't lost me yet.
Hey! Thank you. But pretty soon, 18, 21 rolls around and you're being a pretty good self-made jerk because you've got it baked. You put it out on the table. Okay? The people have to eat this shit. Okay? The persona you got together finally. Yeah, I know. And you're going to strut this stuff and you're going to do this thing and it's going to offend most of the people. Right? Certainly going to break your own heart because when you think about it at the end of the day, oh man, I was mean. You know what I mean? Yeah. Least minimum is you break everybody, your own heart, right? In the process of breaking everybody else's heart. Least minimum is you something voices in you saying, this is not the way, Ace. Right? But there you are. You're doing it because, after all, you take pride in it. It took a lot of work. This is your fucking Mona Lisa. This shit jerk you've become. Okay? In the process of doing what you thought was the right thing, the cool thing, the good thing. At that time, you're innocent. Hey, all's forgiveness. There's forgiveness in this couch. See what I mean? If you want forgiveness, best bet is go to an enlightened person, God, or a couch. That's why they got pet rocks for this. That's why people say, the more I know my dog, the more I know my husband, the more I like my dog. I know. Ooh. But, it's awful. But I mean, it's, as we go down in lower consciousness forms, we seem to get more forgiveness or tolerance. My dog never tells me to shut up. Yeah. So marry your dog, biatch. But and if that isn't it, get a pet rock. If your dog starts acting up on you, put it to sleep. Get a pet rock. A pet rock is eternal. Dogs are transitory. And they can cop an attitude once in a while. You ever tried to take a bone away from a dog when a dog is really in love with that bone? Whew, you see another side of that dog. The kind you saw in your husband. It's like, no. Then you go, I'm trading up. I'm going to get a pet rock. That was a stupid digression, wasn't it? I really think it was, and I have no idea where I am.
You
It was about forgiveness.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. I needed that.
You went to God?
So you're busy inventing yourself. You're fabricating something. You get it done. You're a jerk. People don't like it. And they respond to you negatively because you actually are being a jerk, because this is what you tried to be. I should be more mean. So you be more mean. And then you're mean, you know? And then people think you're mean. You go, well, why? What do you mean, why? Jack? Okay? You worked on this shit. Okay? This was your intention. You know, you're the liberated woman. You're going to go down and give the car mechanic a real hard time. You know. Because you know that you can't be taken advantage of, so, you know. And so you be real mean, and you come home gloating about how mean you were and how you stood your ground and how you beat yourself and all this other, whatever they told you to be, right? But you realize, man, I was really a jerk, and people aren't liking me. I used to get 3 dates a week, now I'm down to 1 a year. People don't have taste for the quality shit. That's your conclusion in your own brain, but I mean, but that's, no, that's delusional. You see what I mean? That's not the real thing. That's delusional. You know what I mean? And here we are today, okay? You know, people love us, you know. I mean, they do, you know. But with a passion, not. Not always, not necessarily, rarely. You know, and you're on, hey, they can't stand the quality shit. I'm an honest human being. I call a spade a spade. You know what I mean? It's gotten me in trouble with the NACCP and every other shit. You know, but...
Yeah, right. Call a spade a spade.
But, you know... it's not that attractive. And so people stop liking you once you get your persona together, and then you begin to think, well, you know, what's wrong with the people, when you should have thought, hey, you know, I might be being a jerk. That might be the achievement I've created here by creating a persona in the place of what God created. The feeling, sensitive, vulnerable human being that I was when I was 16 years old. Before I decided better, before I knew better, before I decided to create and follow a new beat, new drummer, before I created the persona for that, before I trotted that out and started to use that in public. And now people dislike me. And you get the distinct but understandable wrong impression that the person they hate is the real you.
Right.
It ain't. They hate the thing you dummied up to take the place of what God made. And so do you. And that's what I mean. When you get home from browbeating the car dealer, when you get home from setting your limits, when you get home from using your assertion skills and whatever they taught you in the encounter group, and if it was evil, and if it was wrong, and if it was fucked up, and you get home and you can't sleep and you feel slightly edgy about it, right? That's when you realize that the thing that you created is really an abomination. And it's not you. The fact that you're not comfortable being the thing you decided to be proves it's not you. It actually proves that. Do you get that? You see? Otherwise, you'd be a pig in slop. You'd be a goldfish in water. You'd go, yeah, this is it. It's not it, because you don't feel good with it. It grates against your soul. Your soul is the one that knows the truth. It tells you, hey, no, that wasn't it. It was what you thought you were supposed to be. It was what you decided to be. But no, it wasn't what you are, and it wasn't what you should be. That's your moment when you start to turn back around. You're starting to turn back into your true selfhood. after this little temporary vacation or outage, right, that you call creating yourself, inventing yourself. Ansatz. I'm inventing myself. Oh God, I'm creating myself. Hey, God already created your butt. All right, we won't hold that against. All I'm saying is, with God, He created your soul, and it is beautiful, like a rainbow. Okay, it is not this narrow, weird, fucked up human invention. It is this other thing, right? Is anybody tracking on this, or should I just pack it and go? Okay, can we talk about beauty now? Now that we've talked about the fucked up shit. Can we talk about how preciousness is there with beauty? When you see something beauty in yourself, like you're 16 and you're giving it all and you know that it's beautiful in your heart, but you feel vulnerable and raw and unprotected. There's a song that says, you only hurt the one you love, the one you shouldn't hurt at all. But there's another song they should have written, which is, well, you only hurt the self that you love. The self you shouldn't despise. Because it's beautiful. Right? You love these things and you hurt them in your effort to protect them. Don't choke the canary. Huh? You see? So when people say, I don't know why it is, doctor, but I always screw up the really good possibilities in my life. And in the same way, I don't know why it is, doctor, but I always screw up the beauty that is me. Because I love it so, I just can't help but grabbing onto it too tight, being tight with it, not wanting to give it, not wanting to share it, show it, be it. Because it's too good. Too good. I know, but it reminds me of the guy who has this 69 Camaro. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's blown, and it's perfect, and it's like a total restore. The thing is cherry. Perfect. Okay? That vehicle, he put his heart and soul into that vehicle. Now you know where he parks it?
In the garage.
In the garage. And you know what? He never drives it. And you know what? If he ever drives it, he parks it on the opposite side of the parking lot from where any cars are at. This car is unusable for all practical purposes. This is like a woman. I've seen so many women that are that good that they won't even take it out for a spin. They got so much heart, so much beauty, so much joy. They won't even hop, skip, and jump. They got so much love, they won't even give it. This is precious gone bad, like it was with the Camaro. You see, the guy loved it so much, he ended up loving himself out of the car because he just had to keep it in the garage, temperature control, with a tarp. He loved that thing so much, it became unusable, dysfunctional. In the same way, you got a heart, you got a love, you got a being that God made. And when you see it, you're just as awestruck as anything else. And then the ego says, you know, what you are is good shit. You know what I mean? You ever thought about carrying a sidearm? And I'm on, you know, sidearm, a small self-protection weapon, such as a 22.
Yeah, or a 38.
Well, yeah. If you're a man, you could go for a 38 snub nose, but I'm talking about even a 30. But I'm talking about a 22 will get her done, especially, you know. Anyway, the whole point is, okay, it's like a guy says, all right, let me give you a better example. You have jewelry, diamonds. You have one beautiful diamond necklace. And somebody says to you, have you got insurance for that? And then somebody says, when you wear that, do you realize that you're a target? And then they say, when you wear it, don't you think you should maybe carry a self-protection weapon of some kind? Be it pepper spray, be it mace, be it a sidearm or a small 22 pistol or handgun. Because you're a target, you know. And you gave your heart when you were 16, you see. And when you were 16, you realized the beauty of what that is, you see. And then the ego comes in and says, do you have any insurance? Do you realize that you probably should hide this stuff? And if you don't hide it, don't you realize you need to stand up for it and protect it? You see? And this idea that comes into one's mind about beauty is preciousness. Preciousness turned into paranoia, turned into hiding, turned into defensiveness. How many women have you guys known? Okay? And I use the W word advisedly because I don't want to get cards and letters from NOW, National Organization for Women. But how many women have you actually known who thought they were so much the cat's ass, okay, that they got the idea that if they went out to dinner with a guy, okay, he ought to pay for it?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going, hey, biatch, I went out to dinner with you. Did you think about that for a second? Isn't that worth $5.95? You know, you're not the only one who went out to dinner with somebody. We went out to dinner with each other. You know what I mean? Cash for cash. Now, you're not so much better than I am that I owe you the value of a dinner for the improvement of your being over my being. Or if I fucked you and I'm supposed to owe you $150 because you think you're the kind shit, and I say, you know, you got fucked by me. You know what I'm saying? That's worth at least $160, my book. All right, so you owe me a tenner. Pay up, yeah. And we're square. I don't know. Am I wrong? Anyway, okay, so it's off color, but it's effective. When people get too precious about something, they start to value it in a way which is egotistical and prideful and problematical. They start to protect it and defend it. They won't give it anymore. Just like the guy won't let you borrow his Camaro because it's too cherry. Otherwise, a friend would give you his car. That's not a big deal. But he's in love with this car so much, you see. And this woman is in love with herself so much, and she thinks she's so much the hot ticket, so cool, that it's time to stop giving herself. It's time to stop giving her heart. That's too precious. I got to park that at the other side of the parking lot. I got to keep that in the garage. I got to never drive it. Okay? I got to never let anybody else drive it. Because it's too good to use. Okay? That's the beginning of the death of what God made in this woman. When she is beautiful. But beautiful is no reason not to give.
Yeah.
Or be. You know. So, this quality that is beauty becomes egoized. The guy starts to snap at people. Don't get near the car. Mm-hmm. Don't touch it. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. And the woman's like, don't touch me. Yeah, I'm not saying she should be a hoe. All I'm saying is there's a way in which it's necessary for her to give herself and not stop giving herself because she thinks she's God's gift. If she's God's gift, fucking give it.
Right. Yeah.
It is God's gift. Now, really.
Yeah.
God has gifts. And guess what, folks? We're it. Give it. Live it, you see. That's very important. Important to God. Yeah, otherwise, you're the Mona Lisa that's hidden in the basement like the Camaro. All right? And God doesn't have the enjoyment of seeing his gift given and seeing the smiles on the face of the people that got to be with it, see it, right? Doesn't get that anymore. He made beauty, and then the beauty got hidden away. the beauty that is you. This is why this self-actualization, liberation, enlightenment shit is really so important. Because it's God's gifts that are on the line in terms of whether it's going to be given or not. See? You can be all happy with the fact that you're protecting yourself. You can be happy with the fact you're suppressing yourself. You can be happy with the fact that you're playing it safe. But can you be happy with the fact that God made a beautiful you to be shared and you forgot to give it? When it's what you got, you know. So, people get precious and then they hide the Camaro. They get precious and they act defensive and then they alienate people. Use it or lose it, that goes with this. What happened to John Wayne, for example? And, you know, and I'm a John Wayne lover. I mean, I first admit it. But John Wayne doesn't say 3 words in a row. Okay? He's a man of few words. Hey, Pilgrim. Huh. You know, and I'm saying, that's great, John, but what happened to your reality? You're a man of few words. That's good. But the whole thing is, it's not enough words, John. We need more words. More. Come on, more words. Feeling words, John. You know, tell us something. Don't hide. These cowardly men of few words, they go to the encounter group and they won't speak. You know, staying out of trouble. Yep.
Oh no.
You know, that's wonderful. I appreciate your sharing. All I'm saying is, I hate the way you share because you don't share when you share. And that's a problem between us. I'll kill you, is the problem. It's wrong to kill you, but I feel inspired by the fact that you won't share your heart. And I think Jesus would agree.
Oh, no.
All right, no. Okay, never mind. I shouldn't bring the J word into this, but I say, I would agree. That, you know, you might as well take this guy out of behind the barn and shoot him because he's using up space on a very important and overpopulated planet when he should be sharing the beauty that he is. He's withholding it from everybody. He came here with a mission. He was going to love the humanity. He was going to make a positive difference in the lives of others. And now, he's totally clammed up. He's like the biatch on vacation that made up her mind not to give herself no more. Right? What kind of a trick is that? So then you get atrophy. So then you withheld, you see, and John Wayne doesn't know how to speak. He's going to an encounter group to learn to speak for speaking impaired individuals. You know, he's saying, what's your name, John? Jay. We'll work with you. It's a very good start. But he's atrophied, okay? He needs the big OHN, you know? John.
John.
The whole.
He needs to be able to fill in some of the blanks for us. He needs to get verbose. You know. Oh, well. Okay, so have you ever valued something so much you hit it to the place where you can't find it?
Yeah.
Oh.
You hit it so good. You must have really loved it. Now you'll never fucking find it. You know, and that's what happened to good old John Wayne. He had a feeling heart, right? But he hit it so good. Now he's in the encounter group for the feeling impaired.
Right.
Okay? And he's going to work through it. It's going to take 17 years of therapy. Buy the guy a whole Mercedes-Benz just to like be able to say J-O-H-N. John. You know, it's hard for him. He's worked himself down into a straitjacket with this. Use it or lose it, right? And this is what happens to the women. They forget to love, and the next thing you know, when it comes to love, they have no idea what that is. I gave it the office when I was 16. I'm not doing that no more. Now I'm 48. Okay, I have no idea what that would be.
Right.
Right? I'd have to go to encounter group or shit, therapy or something, to even remember what that's supposed to be about. Right? But what happened? The beautiful quality came out. The person got precious about it. They started to be defensive about it. They egoized it. It started to print pain. It started to create pain in relationship. All this defensiveness.
Yeah.
So the person then realized it was printing out pain, and what do? You shut it down. You quit. Like a guy who's obnoxious for 20 years, and then he decides to shut up. Seen these guys in the rest home. I tell you about these guys. They were real opinionated for their whole life, and then they finally had to live with their relatives, and now they won't say anything out of their wheelchair. Because they realized they're only alienating people, and it's not doing any good. So they shut up, right? And that's it. That's what happens. If you abuse it, you lose it. If you screw it up, you eventually get smart enough to pull the plug on it. And so that's what happened to God's people. They had all these beautiful qualities, and one by one, they abused them or misused them. And then they decided to put the kibosh on it. They decided to pull the plug on it. And they down to, well, how's it hanging? Down. You see? Shit like this. Right? There's not much left of the remains. Dearly beloved, the departed, okay, decided they wanted to be less, and they were less, and now they are less. The beloved has gone down to a nubbin. They're a shadow of their former self. They've narrowed down. They're in retreat. They're hiding, right? And so now you're trying to live with the remains. And they're trying to live with the remains. How do I live when I'm not being a quarter of what I was when I was young? How do I live when I'm not being myself? How do I live when everything's a quirk in it? When I'm real suppressed and very careful? How do I live that way? And the answer is, you don't. You're dead. All intents and purposes. You're ivying along. You know, the typical man, for example, is not manly. He's terrified. A typical woman is not a woman. She's not feminine, for example. She's terrified to be a woman. Right? She's got it so safe, so ego-proof. He's got it so dummied up, you see. They're just subtracting the real, and they're adding on the unreal to replace it. And that's what the facade is. And this is the remains. It's the facade. You're living with the facade of most people. It's not them. It's not them at all. You know it. They ought to know it, right? So they reduce and take away all the things that are vulnerable, feeling, beautiful, and they add on all the things that look professional, cool, and groovy. And that's the result we call a person. It's not a person at all. Right? It's a great subtraction and a stupid addition, a replacement for self. We call it persona, social facade. It's not you. Be you is the ticket. Be what God made you to be. Be free in that sense, right? And those are your true colors, and they're beautiful. You see, like a rainbow. All right, that's it.
Thank you.
Wow.